because I love to go deep with the data, but the problem is in a year from now, like that data is a year old. It's not really relevant. In the military, we work with all sorts of different people, different colors, ages, whatever it may be. Real estate's no different. Figure out what's working and then you double down on that and you continue learning by repetition.
Welcome back to another episode of the Video Blueprint for Real Estate Podcast.
That's really going to screw people up because we are trying to stick to REVB, but you are just on a roll.
Well, listen.
This week, we are excited to be live in Dallas shooting the Omni with my favorite ginger, Shane Burgman.
And Shane has walked off the stage with 5,000 to 7,000. I don't know. It's hard. I feel like Tom does realtor math a little bit with the attendance numbers.
Sure.
But thousands and thousands of agents watching you, cheering you on. I saw girls with signs holding them up with hearts on them.
They were throwing stuff at me on stage. I don't know if you guys caught that. It was great.
And then you just right off the stage to the podcast. So we appreciate,
Well, I just left the stage early to be here for the podcast. They wanted us to keep going, but I was like, dude, Tim asked and Katie wants me to be here. It's like, I got to go, guys. I'm sorry.
That's good. It's good.
Yeah.
So for those of our listeners who don't know who you are, what's your 30-second origin story of kind of who you are and what you do?
Full-time real estate agent. I've been a licensed agent for 10 years. Do you guys want me to look in the camera or at you guys?
I want you to look deep into Tim's eyes.
Yes.
Okay.
Eye contact the whole time.
Yeah. All right. So 10 years as a license. Do you want me to start that over for you?
No.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. So 30-second for me. So 10 years as a licensed real estate agent.
Yeah.
Full-time. It's been my bread and butter job since I separated from the military. So spent 10 years active duty, right into real estate after that. Currently at Compass, which is the #1 brokerage in the universe, I believe. And I think that's what they literally put on their last social media post.
Yeah.
But yeah, highly in the residential sector, a little bit of commercial stuff that I've dabbled with, and then have some own personal investments. But that's been my job for the last 10 years.
I love it. And Katie was being sarcastic on the eye contact thing. I don't mind because you have very pretty eyes. But it's not
I take that.
Yeah, you can look at both of us, but if you want to continue to look at Tim, that's fine.
I don't know.
Normally when they do it, it makes them feel a little uncomfortable.
I have a choice. It's you.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's but it would make the baby ginger. Please don't look at me for too long.
So it does. It does.
Yeah.
Eye contact is a true given tell of that. So I will avoid it as best I can.
We have you on because you do a lot of video stuff.
Yeah,
and I watch a lot of people's content, and you definitely think you're hitting on something unique. And you have a way of grabbing the audience's attention. And so where does that come from?
I think it's just reps, right? So I think any creator that's done videos in the past, let's say my first videos were awful. And over time, I've learned what works and what doesn't. And I don't think we're any different than that. So early on videos, we've made a lot of stupid shit and made videos that I look back now and like, oh man, that's terrible. It's awful. I can't believe we literally put that on the internet for other people to see. And then over time you look at it and you're like, what can I improve? What can I change? And, I think that's just the whole origin story of anyone that's a creator. You figure out what's working and then you double down on that and you continue learning by repetition.
Love it. So 10 years in the military.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say? Army?
Navy.
Navy. Okay.
I was gonna say I have a brain, but
I was good. So I was in the Air Force.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
We initially can just go right to making fun of people in other branches. Transitioning military into real estate. What do you think the military experience helped on your real estate transition?
A ton, man. So
you can say shit.
I'm just trying to back up. Shiitake.
Yeah.
A lot. So when I was for my Navy career, right? So I was 10 years active duty. I was stationed on submarines and I was a nuclear missile technician. So very specialized and very small community of people that I worked with. And transitioning out, it's one of those things, and you would probably attest to this, Tim, to where the thing people that they miss the most when they leave the military is the camaraderie or the brotherhood, sisterhood that they experience in the military. And if you're not in the military or haven't been, you don't know what that means. And so transitioning out, that was something that I still to this day, it's like I crave that, I need that, and I have to have that in my immediate circle of friends and the clients I work with. So I'm always kind of looking for that. But the transition out, I think, was one of those difficult because I didn't have someone tell me where I need to be and what I need to do for my job. Because real estate, you set our own schedule per se, but I've never really approached it like that. I'm very disciplined. I like structure in life. I like my routines and all these things. So I've always had that in real estate. It's never been different from when I first started to even today. My day looks generally the same. So very structured with that has helped out. And it's also in the military, we work with all sorts of different people, different colors, ages, whatever it may be. And now it's like real estate's no different. I, work with all sorts of different humans as far as clients. And it's never been one of those things like it's not a cultural thing. It's not anything different. It's just, I feel very comfortable amongst all sorts of people. And I think the military has given me a huge advantage of that.
Well, and I feel like your content is very, I hate using this word, but authentic, right? I was going to say good. I would hate to say that.
No, I would hate for you to compliment me.
Yeah, no, but your content's very authentic, right?
Yeah.
And so, do you feel like, did you have a journey where you were like suited up every day, suit and tie, to then you're like, okay, this is me. I wear t-shirts and jeans. I wear blazer sometimes, but like I sometimes cuss and I'm, this is me type thing. Did you have that transition period?
Yeah. So military, we obviously wear uniforms, and I remember transitioning out. I was really excited to wear a suit. So I still have the same suits to this day that I bought, 10 years ago. And that was my get up, my gig. So I wore a full suit and a tie. Yeah. And I live in Florida and it's really hot. It's like right now it's 100 degrees, we'll call it. Yeah. It's just not weather for a suit. Yeah. So I did that for maybe a year. And then I was like, this shit's just too hot. I sweat a lot. I have hyperhidrosis, which just means I just sweat a lot. You might have that, Katie.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think
Katie has it. So hyperhidrosis.
I'm not sweating right now.
I've seen you very sweaty though. But it doesn't work well in Florida. And so it was about a year and some change. And I was like, I gotta lose the jacket. I gotta just really kind of bring it down a little bit. Yeah. And then it got to a point where I started looking at most of my clientele, and no surprise here, most of my clients are a lot like me. They were either former military or maybe still active. They use a little bit of profanity here and there. They might like their whiskey, whatever it is, right? They have tattoos. We like to brandish them and show that. So I started understanding I should probably dress like the client and maybe elevate level up when you're too far separate from, the client just feels a little uncomfortable. So if you're going with a suit and you're working with people that are in flip-flops, which a lot of people in Florida wear them, it creates this little level of like discomfort. Yeah. And so I kind of a little bit casual down. And it's just a gear that it's like, I feel like it's scalable. I can throw on a jacket or a blazer and then it elevates it if I need to, but I feel very comfortable with it. It's literally what I wear when I'm out showing property at closings or out to dinner with my wife.
Well, and so did you have that same kind of shift in your content? Because I feel like now you create to create and you create to like, there's a lot that you do. And so when Tim and I were talking about like, what do we want to talk about with Shane? It was like, well, he does ads and he does commercials and he does, funny content, and it's really like creative property videos. And so like you create like what I think you want to create. Did you first start out with the like, I am a realtor, so this is what I need to do because this is how we market properties kind of thing? Yeah. And I think, the summit where we're at now, like these organizations, like they encourage agents to do content, and they're not really specific on like what kind or what. There's like do videos because that's what you're supposed to do. So I think like early on in that story, you're like, yeah, I'm doing video just to get it done. Like just because I have to and I have to post it. And then over time, you're like, oh, what's better? What works? But for me, it's been one of those things like, the process is fun, but I don't like it when it's a video that I don't want to do or don't like to do. So when Connor is my videographer, my video chef, as we're coining that phrase, video chef, when he's cooking, right? So Connor's out there cooking. That was, like that. Brought that together.
Yeah, we can bring that. But yeah, it's content that I would, if I was viewing it, it's content that I would want to watch. Yeah. And I think that's one of our first parts about our process. Like, would we watch this? Would we like it? Would we be engaged? And yeah, because it's like I've identified like my audience is going to be a lot like me. And so if they like it, if I like it, it just makes it a lot easier to do.
We always talk about consistency. And I think it's very hard to stay consistent on content that you don't enjoy creating. And then I see the Tyler Hassmans of the world who make 300 some odd listing videos a year. Yeah. Because the dude just loves making those videos. And I do think it's a balance because agents are looking at, okay, what kind of video generates the most business? Okay, well, it's a YouTube channel where you're talking about this and this and that, and I'm going to go do that, but they hate it. And so they'll never do it well, like someone who loves it. And so, yeah, finding something that generates business, because that is the other thing that we could probably dive into too, is people love making these videos that don't actually generate them any business. People love making these videos that get a bajillion likes, but
did it move the needle?
Didn't move the needle, And so how do you kind of balance that? Because I know you have had some stuff take off and do really well. And I don't know if that's necessarily the videos that are generating you lots of transactions.
I would say no. So anyone that has had a viral success, like they probably didn't generate business on it. Their account might have grown a little bit. I actually don't like virality. I think it's very harmful to an account, especially trying to build a brand because, when you went viral, cool fucking story, dude. Like you now attracted a bunch of people that are not even going to care about what you do. And they might not even know what you do. They just got a video that popped off. And so when we think about content, like we almost try to avoid virality, but we want it to resonate. We want it to be relatable.
Yeah.
And for us, like we're not really bringing in a lot of leads on on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And I'll put those in one category. Most of our leads are YouTube. So there's a massive difference between the two audiences. And we identified that early on, fortunately. And so our YouTube stuff is way more, I don't want to say like polished, but there's a lot more intent and research that goes into it, which backing up to the thing about liking to do the videos, I love the research phase. I love learning about new things, whether it's pulling permits or understanding nuances to it. And then when I learn it and then I regurgitate it on a video, it's one of those things like I don't forget. Yeah. And that was my, it's just how I learned. It's how I learned in the military. And it's now how I learned to do video creation. Instagram stuff is more like when I'm like, that's funny. Like I have an audience that would resonate with it. It's mainly agents. And it's like, let me flex these creative muscles because I still have a lot of fun making people laugh.
Yeah.
And I think finding that balance of like letting people know, like, look, man, I'm going to swear, I'm going to tell a really raunchy joke and you're going to either fucking hate me or you're going to like it. But I also sell a lot of real estate and I can do some polished up shit too. And so we're trying to keep all those muscles balanced. I don't want to be a video. I'm going to try to do an analogy here. I don't want to be a video guy that's just like super jacked in the biceps and have skinny legs.
That feels like a personal attack.
I know it was.
Skinny legs. Did you see Dan McKinnon's last video he did with Bob?
I did, in the underwear.
Yeah.
I didn't really get that one. I
didn't fully get it either, but I did comment. I'm not sure that this guy squats. And Dan's has been living rent free in his head all week.
I didn't see that.
So
yeah, he
speaking of small legs.
I mean, I've got small legs too, and it doesn't help when I wear like the tightest jeans I can find on the market, which people love to point out in my videos, and it just makes me want to like wear tighter jeans, honestly.
Well, we were talking about this not on our podcast, but on Phil's. It's funny how when you start putting out content, you start doing stuff, what people latch onto.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, like the sneaker thing, like we never were like, hey, you know what we should do? We should get everybody wearing sneakers.
Yeah.
It just kind of happened. And then when it happens, you lean into it. So you guys with the brokerage video with Chris, right? Like made a joke about it. It's like, you just lean into the things that you know are resonating with your audience.
Tim also has a foot fetish.
Well, I knew that. But it is interesting that like the shoes, like that's a thing. And I'm curious how like something like that kicks off. Like I have to imagine like,
no pun intended there.
Did you like that? Was it one of you initially that were like, hey, I rock these shoes and now like you have to wear these shoes to be accepted into our
I have a pair of shoes for you in the other room. It's okay.
The ones you gave to me and then
I wish somebody else. I got a gift too.
I'll be like very open about it. Like I don't have nice things. And so we were going to do this event. And I'm like, I'm not gonna wear a fancy suit. I'm not gonna, but I've always loved sneakers growing up. Like, I'll get some cool sneakers. And then Katie's always been a sneaker. You were a sneakerhead way before I was. And then so
I was not.
So we do this.
That's the story though.
I bought my first pair of sneakers when I spoke at Connor Murnane's event in San Diego.
Okay.
In
Nikes?
they were Nikes.
What do you like, the Dunks or Jordans? Or
they were Blazers.
Oh,
and I just bought them at like a skate shop
Yeah.
in San Diego.
But and it's one of those things
like that doesn't hold my story.
Yeah, you're
gonna make a new one up real quick.
So I didn't really think anything of it, but then everybody came in. They're like, "Oh, Tim and Katie are wearing sneakers," and some other people. I guess we wear sneakers now.
I guess we do that. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, everybody else is wearing them, and then we're like, "Oh crap, everybody's wearing sneakers," and they're really. So we started making videos about it. Like we went in on the thing that seemed like it was resonating, and I think too many times we have an intention of what we want to resonate with the audience. We're like, oh, I really want people to watch my video and then buy a house. Like nobody cares.
Yeah.
So you have to like go in on things and then see what resonates with your audience, then go all in on the things that do resonate with your audience. And it's fun to see where things go.
No, I think it's cool. I mean, there's definitely like I'm gonna delicately dance around this without being too like demeaning on it. But when cult is thrown out, I'll just put it out there. Like it's not always a bad thing, right? So cult is short for culture.
Yeah.
And you have designed and developed a culture of people that all resonate and all agree on certain things. And shoes might be one aspect of it, but it's way deeper than that, right? It's like you have the shoes, but it's part of like the overall culture that you guys have created, whether it was a shoe or a shirt or a jacket or a hat, doesn't matter, but you have that item that I think people attach to, and it makes them feel more part of what you guys have. And I do think it is a positive.
When I think we can pull it back to the content stuff, because when you said being in the military, that camaraderie is very tough to beat. And when I look back at those pictures, like I don't miss the stupid training stuff that we did and all the stuff that we went through, but I miss the guys. Like I miss the crew.
Yep.
And I think it's kind of like a cult.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, the military is certainly a cult.
Yeah.
CrossFit or whatever the hell you do. F45. I don't know what the hell you do with your workouts. That's a cult. You do CrossFit.
I don't do CrossFit.
CrossFit is a cult. And
I do CrossFit when I travel.
You're a serial culter.
Yeah. You're just a part of all of them.
No, not at home.
But that is a cult though. Like for example.
Yeah. And you can.
For example, Jim Jones.
But I think there's such an opportunity to build community through your content. It connects with people through your content and build that type of community and then make it easy to be a part of. And so I think that's what a lot of our favorite creators do is like you start to build community and then you make it easy for people to be a part of.
Going back to your content, like I feel like with your closing videos with clients and like them popping bottles, like I feel like that's like they want that experience with you. They want that moment. And it's like you always highlight like their story, which I love. And so I don't know what my point is with all of that, but like, good job.
Thank you. It's a great, your point, I think, is probably like you have somehow made videos not about yourself, which most people I think do. And I agree that like, yeah, when people are thinking about video, they feel like their face has to be behind the camera and they have to be the one talking about the home or whatever the story is. And so, you know, I've been doing those champagne pops for probably 7 years.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's now to the point, where people are clients are like, hey, like, when are we going to pop that bottle? And it's like, there's been some that I just haven't done it. Cause like whether closing got slipped or whatever it was, like, they're just like, hey, when are we going to do this? And it's become like a thing that people really appreciate. But yeah, it's like, for me, like my pitch on that is always easy to clients. Like, look, that's my closing gift, right? I get them. It's 2 bottles, one we pop. And I literally say this to the client. I said, look, I have 2 bottles here. This one, we're going to pop. We're going to shoot it all over the grass. We're going to have a great time. It's going to be awesome. You're probably going to get it in my eye. That's okay. This one, I don't want to see you open it near me because it's a nice bottle. You might not have had like a real bottle of champagne, but this is Zareen. It's a very well, you know, it's a cuvee. It's a great bottle of champagne. I want you guys to drink this because there's nothing else that really signifies a monumental moment like buying a house better than champagne. Whether you drink or not, you fucking have that. And that's it. And like, you know, I've thought about closing gifts, like people do cutting boards, all these things. And then that's it. And then we go pop the bottle. I put the photos in a little album. I shoot it to them. And that is when I say, hey, here are these photos. This is the link to the album. This one's my favorite. Like, I love this one, guys. And then I'm like, hey, here's a link to my Google review page. If you can just drop me a 5-star review, I'd love that.
You know what I love too is Shane's so good at telling a story that it could be like a $12 bottle of Costco champagne, but it's just easy enough.
Not per bottle, but for the case.
Yeah. You know,
in some aspects, it might not be. It's $100 bottle of champagne.
If you know champagne and you know it's a good bottle.
The Zareen is a good bottle.
Yeah.
It's not a Dom Perignon, which is just a name, but that's a whole point on it.
I love it. So, and I think about Brad McCallum, like his videos are him on the video and it is the house, and it doesn't feel like that's accessible content because his clients aren't in it. But I can tell you, people watching his YouTube channel, when they go to sell their house, they're like, I want to see my house on this. Yeah. You know what I mean? I want to see him do a tour on my house. Yeah.
And that was like a conversation earlier when, before we met up here, like I'm talking to these guys and like, how do you scale this video and how you do all this stuff? And, you know, they start talking about their listing videos and they're like, it just seems like a big waste of time. And like, why are we doing it? And I said, look, man, the listing videos aren't for buyers. Like, it's for the seller to prove that you did your job, and it's to attract other sellers. When they say like what you just said, I want a video like that on my house because that's excellent. Like, that's why you're doing that video. Yeah. If you're doing that video to think you're going to sell the house with that, like, that's the wrong thought process. Well, and I'm doing it because the seller deserves it.
I don't mean to keep complimenting our buddy Brad, but
he's excellent. Terrible. He's excellent at it.
He would spend like 8-9 hours editing a video before, you know, he was at the point where he had his team. And, you know, but like a lot of real estate coaches or real estate people would be like, oh my God, you're spending way too much time on that. And you're like, no, this is what I bring to the table. My value. You know? And so I think people want the easy solution. Oh, who can I hire to like do all my social media for me? Yeah. Like, if you don't want to put in the work, you're never going to get a meaningful result.
No, and I love that. And now he probably doesn't edit those videos. And, you know, he spent a lot of time understanding the look and the feel that he wanted, because that resonates with his brand and his audience. And so now he's at a point where, you know, I'm sure he has a team editing these now, but I think that process of him going through the edit and going through that process is an extremely beneficial learning experience. And I think if you asked him, I don't know if you have, but like, hey, were you glad that you did that? He would absolutely say, yeah, I learned a lot. I love editing. It helps with communication to the videographer, so you know what you're doing. I mean, his videos are excellent. He's definitely top of the game when it comes to those videos, for sure.
So speaking on YouTube, you said that like Instagram's more of like the creative flex, fun, you know, outlet, and YouTube's really the business generator. Yeah. How long have you been doing YouTube?
We have had an account for 3 years. I would say with intent behind it for real estate content, 2 years. And I say that because 3 years ago started the account, and it was when I just bought a brand new, it was 2022 Tesla had just come out. So they refreshed the Model S, and it was such a cool car. And I was like, Connor, we should do like a video on this because it's a great car. Not many people have it. And like, we should just do what we do great, which is make a video, but also like talk about the car. So we created this incredible video for the car. It's like our quality that goes into production. Like we did that, put it out on YouTube, and our account blew up. Like, that video to this day, maybe 500,000 and some change views. It pushed my account from like 30 subs to 1,000. So then we became monetized and all these things. And it's like, cool, we have a great video that has nothing to do with real estate. Now I'm either going to be a Tesla tech guy, or we have to really understand, like, we need to start over and do this. So we did one other Tesla video. It was the roof racks I put on it, but just to continue that going. And then it's only been real estate stuff ever since that. But there was a point where we were like, can we blend the two spaces? Because I love tech. I love nerdy stuff. Can I blend that with what I do? And it became just challenging, and the answer was no. And so we've focused a lot on real estate.
Well, what I like about that Tesla video, though, when something like that blows up, you can realize, like, holy crap, if I make a very informational video that's relevant to this audience, it'll go crazy.
Well, what we learned from that is like the car just came out, so we hit it on timing, which was important. The quality factor of that was much higher than most other videos. And that, like, you go through the comments, you can see, because everyone was like, oh my God, how is this not millions of views? Like you're getting shortchanged. And that was something where, like, we know we're quality. And the mantra that we always live by is like, it's not, it's not quantity, it's quality. So I take that into account with almost every aspect of my life. And so we put a lot of time and energy into that video. And what we learned was quality. We shouldn't diminish it. We should continue going that route, even though it's not about Tesla.
Timeliness is important. I think like the HOA law stuff that just came through in Florida, like a lot of our agents had videos that crushed, because of how timely that was. And so how do you balance like timely with evergreen?
I think it's a tight line. And the first thing that came to my mind now is like, are people like content about buyer broker agreements, right?
Yeah.
And for me, my stance is I don't like it's a virality opportunity, and I don't want to do it. I don't want to talk about it because everyone else is. So I dance that closely. But timeliness, as long as you maybe scale it to where it can be evergreen, like maybe we're not throwing dates in there. Like now my car is a few years old, so people are still watching it because it hasn't changed. But over time, like when the car is refreshed, it'll lose that. So when we're doing videos and we are referencing, let's say, a neighborhood video on YouTube, we try to eliminate years that we're pulling the data from. Because I love to go deep with the data, but the problem is in a year from now, like that data is a year old. It's not really relevant. So we try to keep it now very high level. How many homes are in here? When was it built? What are the builders? What's the price point been over the last decade? How many transactions are we seeing a year? And that's scalable. But if I'm like in 2022, then it just kind of is not evergreen. So I think it's like pulling out certain dates, and then also like maybe not making everything about wherever the timing of it would be. Just being careful, I think, is the answer.
We talk a lot about like organic content and things like that. You run YouTube ads though, right?
Yes.
Is that, can we talk a little bit about that? Because I think that like, a lot of creators are like, oh, I'm never going to run an ad because it's going to this and that and whatever. It's going to screw up my audience and whatever. But like the fact about YouTube is you can get very targeted with your ads, which, is beneficial both from a brand play and an actual business play. What are you're giving a look?
Yeah, I just want to set, I think it's good to kind of set the table on this, because this is a discussion that we have a ton, which is a lot of our agent creators don't run any ads. They don't do anything. They don't want to mess with the algorithm. They want to make their content and then attract that audience and let it all grow organically. I think the problem that could be possible with running YouTube ads is you run crappy ads and they run towards an audience that isn't necessarily the one that's all your other content is resonating with. And so you're forcing the algorithm a little bit. And so a lot of our people are very anti-ad. But I do want to talk to you about yours, because I think you're doing some very good ads. And so I want to kind of hear how that's gone creatively doing these ads with a channel that aligns, because that's the other part too, is that if your ad is something and then people go to your channel and it doesn't align well, I think you can run into problems. But I want to hear from that standpoint, like how have the ads worked for you? What kind of results have you seen? And why do you think if they've done well, like what do you think's driving that success?
I think to create an ad, you have to know you're creating an ad. And I feel like the problem with a lot of agents is when they're maybe creating an ad, they approach it like they would any other video. And then they're like, why isn't it converting? Well, it's because like you didn't make an ad. And sometimes when you're making an ad, it feels like you're making an ad and you're like forcing it. And like I feel that too. I'm like, oh my gosh, I felt so addy. And I was like, it's good. That's the feeling I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But as long as you understand like the pain points of the people that you're targeting, like what they're looking for. So our ads have been successful because it's an area that I live in. It's not just like, I can't just say these ads have been successful and they've brought me X amount of business. It's very rare that it's one direct source. There's a multi kind of layered approach to marketing, and ads is just one of the prongs, if I will. But with those ads, we know our audience, and it's my greater area of where I live. So 32940 or Viera, Florida. That's literally like my pocket that I only want to sell. It's where I live. It's where I play. It's where my family lives, where kids go to school. That is my area. So tags are only targeted there, or sorry, the videos are. When we make these ads, I'm recognizing like maybe I'll reference the seller one that we recently did. Like I just know from going on a lot of seller appointments, the questions I get, like, are you going to stage the home? Would you take professional photos? Like, do you put a sign in the yard? All the things that like we probably talk about or should be talking about at a listing appointment. Like these are just questions that are burning in sellers' minds. So our ad, prompt is let's address those questions quickly and let them know what we do and what we stand for, and as efficiently as we can. And then just a quick call to action is like, hey, I might be a fit for you. I might not be. That's okay. It's your choice. But if you think I am a fit, let's work together. So I'm setting the table with like what we do, what I stand for, my principles. I'm then going to the point where it's like, I understand you have options and you might not like me because the way I look, the way I talk, my age, I don't care what it is, but I'm giving you an easy out now to say, I don't like that guy. Or if you like me, now you've hit that one barrier, like an initial barrier where it's like, now if you reach out, we've gone through all this other foreplay and it's going to be a much better conversation. And I'm just trying to save time. I want to eliminate people out that aren't a real fit. And we've found a good stride with ads that do that.
We talk about this all the time, like in conversations, when you can show people the exit, they're much more likely to stay.
Yeah.
So when you tell them like, hey, look, like we definitely don't have to keep talking about this. Like you can go work with another agent. We can do. Yeah. And when you position that exit, they're like, oh, no, for sure. Yeah. And so I love that you do that in the ad, because most ads end with, call me for any of your real estate needs. I am the perfect agent for everybody. Yeah.
No, man, those are, and that's just too large of a net that you're casting. And, several years back is when I was like, look, man, my lane is this. These are the people I want to work with. I'm staying in my lane. And it's like a thing that I repeat to myself every morning during you love my cold plunge videos. So during those videos, it's one of the things I repeat to myself, like stay in my lane. Like I need to stay in the lane. It's easy to get distracted. It's easy to think. And we were just talking about this earlier, right? Yeah. So you cast this wide net of attracting, and you're going to get people that you just do not like to work with. And new agents might be like, well, I got to work with everything because I need the money. Mm-hmm. But they don't realize that by doing that, they're eliminating or potentially like reserving their time for their actual ideal clients. And it's such a slim amount of time because they're attracting everything. So we decided early on, it's going to be a very fine line, my narrow stance. This is my lane. I'm staying in it and I don't care about the noise.
I love it.
So I'm hearing you say very specific audience or area, hearing you say then having a specific message, not just saying, hey, I'm going to take this video and promote it, right? Yeah. This is going to be the copy. I'm going to make it to say, this is who I'm trying to reach, where I'm trying to reach them, and specifically speaking to their pain points. Because I think that most people just promote a video for video views or add a form onto the end of it. That's absolutely the ad. So I like that there's like thought process behind it. In addition to, this is where you're doing mega open houses. This is where you're doing the snow cone, party stuff and food trucks and all the other things that people are used to seeing because it's a small little geographic area that you're, and like you've over the past few years have significantly increased your market share in Viera. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I am the number one agent in the area. So, and it's the greater Viera area. So West Viera.
Oh, not just Viera, but greater
Viera. And it's a large enough market to where like my immediate neighborhood has about 1,000 homes in it. But if I expand it out, we're talking somewhere around 4,000 or 5,000 homes in that area. And this has taken me 3 years to build this and 3 years to get to this, 3 years within 10, but no agent or team, right? So I've even looked at teams combined. They do not sell more than I do in that area. And then when I add in my 2 other sales partners, no one can touch it.
I love it.
And it's because of the intent we've gone there. We made the choice. Like my other 2 sales partners live in Viera. We only live in Viera. And so our action is like, look, if you want to know about Viera, if you want to sell in Viera, like I don't give a shit about Cocoa or these are other cities, right? As an example, like this is my market. This is where I live. You're probably going to see me at Publix. You probably will see me in the golf cart, and you might see me a couple whiskeys deep over at Urban Prime. But hey, this is where I live. It's where I have fun. If we should work together, it might be a fit for you.
Yeah, I love the niche down. Another obstacle I think a lot of our creator people that are listening have is hiring somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like you've found a content chef.
That's right.
Yeah. So tell me, what is that?
That one down. It's like
Yeah.
content chef. Remember that.
Yes.
Can't remember that,
Take
yeah.
notes. What did that look like? Like what was the process? Was this the first person you tried to hire? Like, tell me about how that works for you.
So gosh, so early on video production, I was filming a lot of it and editing a lot, and then got to a point where I was like, I should probably hire some professionals for this. So started working with a couple of different teams, and then, you know, it was a freelance thing. So if they had time and opportunity, it became to a point. And then it's, you know, this thing that just kept building and building, and I was doing more and more volume. And I basically got to a point where I was working with a video team. I said, hey guys, next year, moving into 2020 is probably when this conversation occurred. It's like, I you know, want to project around 60 to 70 videos. But if we do this amount, like, is there a discount or a bulk rate that we can get? I'm just trying to look what my year looks like. And then the guy said to me, and I'll never fucking forget this. If it burns me. He says, yeah, we can look at this. And he said, yeah, if we do this amount of videos, this is what the price would be. And I did the math, and I was like, it's a 3% discount. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, so you value the amount of videos and the volume I'm bringing you at 3%. And then also I told him this, I said, the videos I'm doing, like, people watch, and it's going to bring you business. And he said, the fact that you think that your video is going to bring me business is appalling. And I said, we're not a fit, dude. We can't do this anymore. And it was a perfect timing where Connor was introduced in my life. We did a couple videos together, and we did more and more, and we learned our routine together. And I actually enjoy spending time with him. And that's, like, I think, a very key, critical thing to that relationship. You have to like that person because you're around him a lot. He is my voice of reason. It's so funny. Like, he is a lot like my wife. Like, there's some dumb shit I want to say.
All right.
And Connor is like my guy that's like, you probably shouldn't say that, but we could do this. Like, always provide me a good solution, man.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thank you. And it's like, we're banking things off. Like, he's not just a video guy. It's a guy that gives me advice on, you know, the way I should present myself, like scaling. And it just became this thing where I'm like, dude, you're too good. I don't want to let you go. Like, how do we keep together? I'm willing to throw a salary out there, and I hope you appreciate this, and I hope you find it valuable. So we agreed at that. And, you know, he's raised over the years, and we've just recently, there's two other things that have happened. So with our YouTube account being monetized, like, he is getting half of my YouTube monetization. I don't care if that ends up going $1 million a month. I will, you know, that relationship remains. And now we're doing ads. I don't know if you had seen the Zillow ad we did, but, you know, Zillow, full disclosure, paid us to run ads. Yeah. And so when we did that, 50% of compensation goes directly to Connor. So now it's these additional benefits to show him, like, you're valued, and I want you to be compensated, and I really need you and want you in my life.
So on, like, a tax implication side, was there a tax when you sold your soul to Zillow?
Yes. Yeah. It wasn't as big as you would think, because I don't have one.
Yeah.
He's a ginger.
That's right. Zillow joke turned ginger joke. Oh, it's great. Yeah, I think you got a lot of hate, though, didn't you? Did you get some hate?
We anticipated that for sure.
But you know what? You did anticipate it, and you just, like, hit it head on. And so you got a bunch of people, like, you got people on your side, and you almost made it cliche for anybody to go into the comment sections and give you crap about it.
Well, even before we accepted it, right? I went back to the Zillow guys, and we were like, look, man, we're going to get a lot of shit for this. Like, we're selling out, and Zillow, like, doesn't have a great reputation. They're like, we know. I was like, well, you know, and I was like, and if we do this, I will not promote this product unless it actually works. So I need to sample it, and I need to look at it, and then I will let you guys know if we're a fit. So we did that. You have a question?
No, keep going. Sorry.
So we did that with Showcase, and then the results actually were beneficial and did help out. So then we went back and said, yeah, we're in, and they say, we want you to do these types of ads, and we're going to give you full on creative freedom, which was actually bullshit, because they pulled back on a couple of things. Because it's a big organization, they had to. And they still put in a lot of the stuff we wanted to do in there. As I said that, I look at Connor, he gives me the nod, like, stop. But yeah, so did the ads, and it was one of those things. We sat down, we ran a bunch of different scenarios, what it looks like. And there's been agents that have done that, and I don't know if I should say names on here or not. You know, there's agents that have done similar things and just got roasted. And we were like, this could happen to us, but as long as we approach it with facts, and I acknowledge that I'll probably get burned, it'll be okay. But at the end of the day, like, if anyone knows me, I don't think they think I'm a guy that would sell out just to sell out. And that's what really fueled me through it. And if I'm going to do it, I'm going to go to the biggest organization out there, and dude, it's Zillow.
But I think you just did it really smart. Like, when I watched that video, and then I watched how the comments interacted and everything else, I'm like, you did a video with Zillow, but you know your audience so well that you guys were very intelligent in how you went about it.
Well, and I can appreciate what I was going to say earlier when I breathed. I was like,
oh, no, that
Yeah.
she had something.
no, I can appreciate that you actually did the research, because a lot of people would just say yes to the paycheck, and being like, no, I need to make sure this is something that I would actually use my business is commendable. So good job.
I think it was important. And again, I am not a guy that likes to sell out. I would never, could never sleep. And I don't want to get that reputation. And it's one of those things like, we spent several weeks researching the showcase product. It's exactly what we did the whole ad on. And I felt comfortable enough to say, I can promote this. And then I am getting agents that are reaching out. It's like, hey, like, is this bullshit or not? And I'm like, do you honestly think I'd do a video about it if it wasn't? Like, sorry, probably that's a dumb, question.
Yeah.
But then I'd show them like the notes and the data that I've, analyzed from this. And I'm like, I do think it's helpful and beneficial. I'm like, I'm doing it. You don't have to do it, but it was a good choice for me.
So similar to how Zillow has kind of invaded the real estate space, I want to talk a little about invasive species like axis deer in Hawaii. What are your thoughts on like axis deer in Hawaii?
Oh, tasty.
Yeah,
the best. Highest,
no idea
I'm
what's
like,
happening right now.
highest source of protein imaginable. So venison meat is just the best bang for your buck when it comes to a meat protein. And then the way that axis deer meat is you get it. It's from Hawaii, but I don't know if you know this about that specific company. I think it's called Maui Nui.
Okay.
What they do is so they control deer population through this company. So when people think about hunting, they just think, oh, you're killing an animal for whatever reasons. Hunting actually serves a very larger purpose to control population. And axis deer on the island, it could be invaded with it. So they have to control population. And that's where this company exists. But I think it's a great meat source. I have it delivered to my house, and it's a way to get gains. Have
you considered switching from venison to chicken after talking to Jimmy Mackin, and Jimmy Mackin only really eating chicken as a source of protein?
The man looks good.
The
man's
man's jacked, dude. I saw that guy and I was like, maybe chicken is the move. But when I started talking to him more about it, he's like, dude, I like other meats, but just like, chicken's really easy to prepare. And it's like, for me, it's simplicity. And I was like, all right, man, that makes a lot of sense.
So Tim, just to fill you in and our listeners as well, when I texted Shane and was like, hey, I know you're going to be in Dallas. I'd love to shoot a pod, love your work, man. He's like, yeah, what do we want to talk about? And I like threw out a bunch of like content ideas. He's like, oh, that's bullshit. Let's talk about axis deer in Hawaii. I was like, all right, sounds good, man. Like whatever you want. It's your world.
We could probably do another separate pod
just about
meat protein.
When we talk about like
audiences,
your audiences, it's like having a Tesla video on your Vieira channel. It's kind of weird.
Yeah. So it's like, send us a DM if you want to hear the full access deer in Hawaii episode.
Keyword DM.
DM Katie though. Not me.
Big meat is the actual keyword you guys want to throw it up.
You don't want to send that to Tim. That's a whole nother channel.
Yeah, it's a different channel.
Yeah.
Well, man, look, you know what? I have a question. I was going to do my typical, like, where should agents find you question.
No.
Do you have your YouTube ads stored anywhere for agents to like check out? Because I know I love the YouTube ad that I've seen, and I'm sure you probably have more than one. But it's hard to find because it's a pre-roll ad.
Yeah.
Do you have those stored anywhere that agents can see? Can we get those and drop them in the show notes like the pros do?
We probably could. We just sent them to Tom Ferry and his team, so we have the email handy. We could do that. And then on my page, if you want to get a glimpse of them, one of the most recent posts we have was a carousel post, and it shows the first like 30 seconds of the ads that we filmed ish. And I think there was a series of 4 that we shared.
Nice.
And happy to share those. I mean, I know the whole R&D thing. My thing on that is if you're gonna rip off someone and duplicate them, at least give them a little bit of a reach around, which means like holler and like say, hey, acknowledge where the source came from.
That's
not
what
like
that
a literal.
Means. That's what it. No, that's what it means.
No, it's a figurative term.
Yeah.
Huh. Where were you?
Yeah, I don't know. You just it's like you put your arm around somebody.
You put it around their neck. Like, dude, I love you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
You're disgusting.
Yeah.
What were you thinking?
I was thinking jerk off.
Oh man, we got to put the E on this episode.
Gonna cut that one. Like I'll share
this long.
But I'll share those videos. But if we use it, at least do the courtesy of letting it's not, if it's my videos, that's great. If it's another creator, but like let that creator know that like you were inspired by their videos and give them some credit, because there are some assholes out there that have not done that and do not do that. And I would tell you right now, you're the biggest pieces of shit on the planet.
Well, and the problem is too.
Really feel.
No. But when people rip off and duplicate too, and they don't make it their own, it doesn't work. You can't just go recreate your video. Like you have to be inspired by it.
Yep.
And figure out how you're going to apply it to your video. Yeah. But don't just rip it.
The problem with the video with yours, like the VR one where you're starting out sitting in the chair and then you get up and you're walking through the house.
Yeah.
The shoes. It starts with the sole of my shoe. That's how I remember.
Yeah, but okay. I thought you were like foot fetish Tim Macy.
No, that was a Tim.
That was a different video. But is like I've seen other people do it and it's like the exact same video. And I'm like, do they stage? Do they do this? Do they do a mega open house? Like I've literally seen you do all of these things and promote them on your stories. And like, you know, you're out there with a snow cone truck, like, you know, giving a kid a snow cone or something, you know, and so like it's something that you actually do. And so I think that it's like you have to, when Jason was trying to get me to do, I was like, but I don't do that. We do things similar, but like, you know, so.
Well, and you're just missing out on the best part of this whole content deal, which is the ability to be yourself.
Yeah.
Like to be yourself, put yourself out there and attract business that is like, you know, like-minded people and everything else. When you start ripping off other people,
it should be called like maybe rip off and not even replicate, but like restructure, right?
Yeah.
Like, so the whole thing is like, it really should be this. You take my video and then break it down into 4 or 5 points that we cover, and then understand each of those different points and then fill in your own shit.
Yeah.
Like fill in what you do and then just keep the structure alive, like engineer it that way. Like
but make it your own.
Look at the sequence and where we made the transition and then make that the one segment. What did I talk about in there? It was one value that I brought. Figure your own thing out that you do. Don't just steal my shit because you don't do it and you're lying now. And just take the structure. It really shouldn't be rip off and duplicate 100%. It should be get inspired and restructure and do your own thing.
What's Sharon say?
Tap it.
Yeah, tap it. Thank the person. Adapt it. Personalize it.
It's like, yeah, wish I was that smart to say it in an acronym.
Tap that.
Tap literally hit all the points that I talked about way more eloquently.
Well, man, look, you're a busy Tom Ferry celebrity now.
Yeah.
Getting stopped in the hallway. It took us 2 hours to go from the convention center up to here.
Tomorrow already.
You know, so we appreciate you coming up to our awkward room and recording this podcast.
Yeah, it's a terrible view. You know, just seeing
all the concrete,
all of West Dallas out there. It's just
Dallas is not an attractive city. It's just,
it's just
a little rough.
A very humbling view.
Yeah.
And I appreciate your time, Tim. I know you're busy, and Katie, thanks for being here. I appreciate you, Katie, a lot.
We can't hear it, but that's how Moore's
Yeah, there's
countdown.
All right.
Later.